Okay, so he says, let's start on number Ayin Gimel again. V'revezer v'sod his pashtos v'chalkus shem kavaya demad halafi bezah. Ata bar the buyers say that his pashtos shall eva bezoch zer anpen, and mevayer as say that his pashtos v'his chalkus shem kavaya demid v'yima bezer anpen. Kol chelik min shem le'ezer v'chelik min hazah humor. So we see that. He said, "Ki os yud he beroshach the zer anpen, os yud shem bavaya the ma romas ala mochen the zer anpen shehem chochva v'bina das shabo." V'ha aleph rishona. So now he's going to say that begaran the zer anpen. He says that the first hay is located where? It's located in the goran of zer anpen, asher sham mislavish hayisod the ima, which is where the yisod of ima actually start. Well, that's the regular yisod without the ataras yisod. That's the yisod, the ima rabbeishach besochum muach hadas that has inside of it this muach hadas hakolo mechamisha chasada v'chamisha kavuros. So now he says os hey rishon shalavaya the ma. So let's look at hey. It's going to be hey aleph, right? Is the ma romezes ala goran the zer anpen is a remiss to the goran the zer anpen v'hindecha begoran the zer anpen mislavish yisod the ima. So in the goran of zer anpen is closed the yisod of ima. Ashecha bechal maluvish bechal muach hadas the zer anpen. Now we're in the neck right now. And since the throat is the aspect of where really the main lodging of das, he says, and das has within it the 5 chasadim by kavuros. Bechinas yisod, I said, now looking at this yisod, he says, hazeh the ima, asher begaran the zer anpen, hu bechinas aleph. Shall milui hey rishona. So he says the yisod, which is the goram, is the aleph that comes from the hey, the aleph of the hey rishona. Ki hey atzma he begaram. The aleph that's inside of it should be milui hey or yisod the ima should be socha garam. So this is the what the milui. This is the yisod that's in there. Let's see in the garam. So he says. Atach Allah shebemilui ahei rishon the romezes the hispashnos yisod the ima besoch hagoran the zer anpen. Kemen shehahei atzma without the aleph, he's so the hagoran the zer anpen. So okay, that's the locate labina in Eric anpen. I didn't know that's where it's located here in the throat of zer anpen. That's what he's saying. He said besoch hagoran the zer anpen. Kemen shehahei atzma, he's so the hagoran the zer anpen. The aleph should be the aleph that's part of the milui, that represents something inside of that, which is the yisod, the ima that's inside of the goran, the shechem is pasha bezocha goran the zeranpen. But the chain zu aleph he ekia b'rivu ha'olah. So if you, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to look at this. He says this aleph that we're talking about, which is this pasha, you're inside of zeranpen, and you're in his goran. And you now have this pashtus of ima into the goran of zer anpen. And he said, "V'lechein zu ha'aleph he shem akia b'rivua ha'ola dam," because this is coming out of ima and it winds up as a rivua over here in zer anpen. V'zecha v'nikra dam chius. It's called the dam chius. Why? Amachaya as zer anpen v'so the dash b'socha, because it has to do with that. This das as zer anpen is inside of the whole business. And he says the dam kius amachaya zer anpen, beso the dash besocho. Now, what just there's a little bother about this is that he's saying before that this das is this first hay, or let me go on a little bit more. I'm getting confused. V'zer anpen beso the dash besocho b'shecha b'belo b'kasav u'b'das hadarim yumalu. Okay, so therefore das is inside of all of this. V'no the ki hadam shebegorim nikra dam chius v'zecha v'pasha. So this is dam chius, but at other place he said it's a representative din kasha, but kadosh. So let's look a little bit more. So here he says that this is the chiyus. The chiyus is of another dam shebegoron nikra dam chiyus. That dam at that place when it's in the goron. V'zechah the pashat ha'alav shebemilui os ha'hei. Whoso shem akyach amaskil ba'os aleph. V'hu shem ekya b'rivua, it's ekya in a rivua state, but it's not just an ekya, or it's not an aleph, so it's an aleph, represents ekya, it's not just ekya, it is an aspect of ekya, let's say. It's the rivua of ekya, of dam, so now it's dam. Lo dam hachiyus, but this is the dam of the life force, hamachaya ezer anpen, hanimsa begaron ki yedua, who is now, we're finding this in the Garon. So he said, "V'hu his pashtas yisod ima b'sochim ruach hadas dezer anpin," and this meaning that this is the spreading of the yisod of ima into zer anpin. V'hu ha'chiyus shebezer anpin kamo she'amar chakazu u'v'dam ha'chadarim. He says that the blood from these different chambers yimalu. Shemuach hadas hahu hachiyus the call goof, because this. But you're looking in right now. You're looking at the neck, and over here we see that inside of the neck, the neck, he says, is a hay. The hay is an aleph in the milui form. That milui is really to tell you that inside. I'm saying inside because the goron I'm thinking of as like a container. And inside of that, now you have a penetration of the yesod of ima. The yesod of ima is represented by the letter aleph, which is the milui of hay, and in that aleph is actually really is just the beginning of a revuah. So let's see what else, and that turns out to be the chiyus that's going to keep zer anpin going. So he says like this. What time do we have till today?
18.
Let's go on 1 minute at a time. So the os vav ku lamata. So the os vav comes out like this. So now the vav, which is behind that hay, hu lamata kasher mispashet das v'yared the mata b'shlish elyon the teferes zer anpin ad makom achazishabah. V'oz mizgal chadas b'hispashtus chamisha chasada v'chamisha gevuras. Now you see the das is being revealed. And what's happening is that his pashtus of the zam is the mata. Let's read on. Call os alasha b'milui shem havaya dema mora al bechinas acheres bezer anpen. Shachasadim v'chagavuras b'techila b'chiyosim b'garam koyim b'chusim. They're all covered up there. But from that neck position, they go to the chazit. And there, where the yisod of ima ends, they become misgala and mispashtim sham, and they spread there. He says Romezis, Romezis ha-aleph b'milui vav, which is vav aleph vav. L'choref al his galas hachamisha chasadiv hachamisha gevuros b'chazad zer anpin. So that's what this vav represents. So he said, so now you have a vav at the chest. It's not in the neck anymore. So os ala shebimilui os vav hanusunach bein shnei vavim hu shem ekya gam kain, and it is an ekya but in a revuah form. Ola gam came dam, which comes to the gematria of dam, and here you have more dam in the center line, I guess, or at the chazah. V'heim is the vusha chesed. They're levushim of the chesed. V'chagavuras v'his pashto sham. So he says osavav sheb'shem Havaya. So this letter vav that comes out of the name of Havaya, the ma, mora al v'chinas achazed zer anpin. So in vav now you're below, I guess, the letter of the level of the first a. Vos Asia b'midoche b'os havav, that letter, that aleph hazu. Once again, he Shem Akia b'Rivua Kazeh, and he shows us the Rivua Aleph K Yud Aleph K da 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 Ha'oladam. V'hu Romez al Levushe HaChasadim. So this is telling you, he says about the Levushe the Chasadim v'Kavuras Hanimshacha b'Yisod de'Ivach HaMebizgalda v'Chazad Azam. The Moshe his boy Le'ez has been explained up above. Shal Levushe HaChasadim v'Chakavuras Nekroim Domen. Okay, we said all that. V'hinei Rav Os Alephs Zu he b'Gematria Dam. So now going back to that. V'im Tazir Os Alephs Zu min Havaya. So let's take the Aleph out. Because the Havaya, the whole Havaya is a gematria of 45. So take the Aleph out, min Havaya Dama. Shaar Havaya Kecheshbon Dam. So then, of course, you will see that the Aleph. So I don't really get the metaphor here, but I'll read it anyway. Tisha Havaya Becheshbon Dam Gam Kain also. The Nimsiki call Havaya Zulus Aleph Zu. So all the Havaya, if you take just this one, the one that comes out, I think they talk about the Vav, the one that comes out, you'll come back to Gematria Dam again. Who begin Gematria Dam? So take an Aleph away. So I'm not sure what taking an Aleph away, how that remez is. It is with Gematria 44. V'Aleph Zuchu b'Charumez the Shem Ankir b'Rivuha Gam Hu b'Gematria Dam. So it makes it. It's also Gematria Dam. You're taking Dam out of Dam, out of what? You're taking Dam out and you're leaving Dam behind. In Kain Hu Dam B'Soch Dam. So there you have the blood in blood. V'Oz ha'Aleph sheb'Bivhui ha'Vav. He's showing you that it makes it into 45, but into the Gematria Adam. But without it, or if you took it out, it goes back to being Dam again. And he shows us once again what the Rivua looks like. So let me get a little clearer here, if possible. So going after the review, he said, below ha-aleph hazu, without this aleph, once again he's playing it out. V'harei gam older b'gematria dam kazeh, shows it to you, and the vav is vav, and there's no aleph in it. Now I would question right away, I mean there's 3 alephs, why did he take this one? But the vav represents the one at the chest. So I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Take the aleph away from it. So I don't know, how do you do that? So the Chavanim says sheyesh shnei mini dam. There's 2 different types of dam. Echad betocha shnei sheni, one inside of the next one. Now, which is inside of which? Shebetocha havaya va'ola dam, because in the midst of this havaya that comes out of dam, nikdash shem akia, comes in this name akia b'rivua ha'ola gam came dam, which also is dam. V'shnei damim elo. So these 3 damim elo. Heim dam hazer anpen v'chadam shemekampa be'ima. Shaharei ima nosenes as medregas acharayim shalom ha'ola b'minyan dam. So, like I say, I don't see the metaphor that easily. How it is that I understand you. In order to get to 45, you have to have 3 alephs. Why would you take one out? So what's the point? He's saying we'll take one rivua out. Okay, I could say you could do that, but I don't see exactly how it works. Well, that's my problem. Let's go on to the next one. So he says, "V'schavros adam ekya v'dam sheris sham shem havaya alafim." So if you join together the dam of the ekya, they come from that name, and the one that's left over, I think he means after you take the alafim, sham shem havaya, yihi kol ma conminyan adam. So I'm translating it poorly. Let's see how he helps it out. Kasheimim is beshet the bezochazer anpin. Niknas as os ha'aleph, and you see what's happening is the os of aleph is aleph peshuta, shui remembers al shem akir in a revua form, who levusha ha'chutzadav ha'kavuros, v'shem akir b'rivuha b'zecha b'niknas b'bidului avav. It comes into the milui of this vav. Yishtalim shem, and it has the ability to be able to mishtal the shem havaya the hiyot b'gematria ma. ha'ola k'mizbar Adam kazeh, just like this. The fish al yudei his pashtus ima b'zer anpen. It's supposed to teach you this, that as ima comes into zer anpen is represented by the vav. That's what I would think that this means, represented by the vav. And when when ima comes in, then she's manifest in the middle of that vav. Now, it's maybe that's the pshat here. Later on, that we'll get to Sphira, and we see that you talk about the dam over there. Same thing, where inside of the vav is where you find the revua written out. So I don't know. Here we go, going back to this again. He says so he said lefi sha'al yedei his pashtos ima b'zer anpen hu na'asa adam karoi. Then he becomes the proper man, because then he has the vav becomes fulfilled into a vav aleph vav, I guess. And that's the metaphor for zer anpen. We have that phrase that was really, he says, talked about elsewhere. He says, he says, Shekavan is a pasuk. The kavan of the pasuk is this: Shedama Adam Hinda Devushach Chasadim, which is what? The Chasadim covered over, the Chasadim and the Gevuras are covered over by these letters. Hanik Roim Dam, and the whole thing is called by the name Dam. The fish of the She'eki B'Rivua, it comes to that gematria. So remember back in my mind that he's saying that this Dam is Kadosh Bakasha. It's a din Kadosh Bakasha. Shehim Na'asim his pashtus Ima, because they're made from the spreading of Ima B'Soch Zer Anpen, inside into Zer Anpen. Shechazer Anpen Nikra Adam, that he's called Adam, Shehu Shem Havaya B'Milu Elovim Ba'ol Adam, which comes to that. The Hispashtos Ima B'Zer Anpen is the sod of the Milui of the Vav, Milui of the Aleph in the Vav. So he said about Aleph Harmezis the Shem Ekya B'Rivua, that Ima came in and made this possible by Yidei Hadam. Hazer, this milui, this revua rather, Hazer aniknach b'soch zer anpen, hu na'asa Adam, he becomes the complete Adam then, shuku shem Havaya b'milu elovim ba'olad Adam. So, it still leaves me a little bit wondering. There's 3 Alephs. He chose this Aleph. The only reason why I say he chose to talk about this Aleph, my thinking would be because this represents their anpen. And what about the other 2? Where they come from? I guess they came not down though. They retained down the right line and the left line. This is maybe in the middle. I'm not sure. So it is in the middle, but there's no question. So let's go on to number Pei Gimel. Pei Gimel said, there was a note over here on number Yud Bet, if I can understand it. He says, his chavros dam ekya bedam she'eris. Shem Havaya the Alafim Bihi Hakol Ma the Communion Adam V'Zech V'Sod Shofech Dama Adam Ba'Ada K'Bavura B'Makamachir. So I'm not sure that I really understood this, and let me see if I can get this a little clearer. So he says, Yesh La'ayin Lama B'Dosh Arizes as Kol HaDrosh Hazel Al Av Shabbato Chavav. Oh, I guess I didn't make it up. I must have seen it over here. Shuhu B'chinas Dezer Anpen. Why did he focus on that? But L'chora, he says, Choy Lochel Lomer Kol Ha'inyan Dezecha B'al Ha'alef Shabbato Ha'hei Rishona Shuhu B'garim Sham Dam Ha'chius Shuhu Ha'chius Abam Ima Lahakios as a zer anpen. Begam that hey, hoyachol lomer call his boyer khan. He could be able to say everything that explained over here. So why do we need to talk about shebelo ha'alef azech nishar hazan kemis badam? Because even without it, he's a dam. I think he says the first hey. Really represents Bina, so that's like the left line. So the Yud in that case would represent Abba or Chochma. The first K would represent Bina, and the Vav, which is actually right line, left line, and the Vav is in the middle. And so he chooses that one, and that's the one that he wants to focus on and make that drush, I guess. So that was, I guess, my thought over there. I'm not sure where we're at right now, so let's see. How much time we have left? That's it. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Call to.